Okay everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to take apart or take out the shift lever assembly in a 2015 Subaru Forester or Legacy. Let's begin. Okay, for starters you're going to want to jack up the car. I've already got mine on some stands, and you're going to want to disconnect the negative battery terminal. I'm getting all this information from this book here, Subaru Legacy and Forester, the Haynes Repair Manual. Okay, so as you can see, we're going to get in underneath the car and we're going to take apart this shift lever and take out that whole assembly that I just showed you before. Since I already got a lot of the plastic pieces out of the way before I started this video, I'm going to show you real quick how they come off. So say a plastic piece is right there, and I've got these little plastic unclipping tools, probably on Amazon for like 12 bucks or something, and just got under there, and at the same time I pulled off the plastic piece. You do that here, here, and then a similar right here. There's another plastic housing. When you get that apart, what you will end up finding is this piece. Actually, what you'll end up first doing is unhooking this piece here that show your whether you're in park and reverse. So what you'll do is you'll unclip. It clips in with this, so you'll just unclip that, and it's pretty simple and easy. There's a little tab at the bottom of it, and it's hard to do with just one hand, at least my left hand. Let me see if I can get it. You just pull on that tab that's on the bottom there and pull out, and then this will be hooked into this this white plastic piece underneath through a series of clips here, here, and likewise on the other side. So you'll just want to get under those clips either with a screwdriver and kind of pop them out. They're pretty sturdy, they don't really break that easy, and they give way to allow this to come out freely. Then you'll get in here. This white piece comes off. It's connected by those two little barbs, those clips there, they press into these holes. If you could see them, these holes here, and then there's these clips on the sides that connect down here to let's see, they connect on the side of this other plastic piece. These ones are a little more difficult to get off, but you can get under them with a flathead screwdriver and just pop them off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out these screws here, because there's this whole assembly is on this plastic piece housing, and it's screwed in to the kind of rest of your dash area. So we'll pull that off, and then I'll show you what we do next. Okay, after we get these screws off here, they're size 1 Phillips head, and then there's these 4 bolts you could see that bolt this kind of plastic plate to the body of the car. And so these bolts are size 12 millimeter, and I just, last but not least, you want to unplug this, and this is the wiring for your solenoid, and this other piece that I pulled out earlier that is like the shift plate. Anyways, before we can even get this thing out, because it's pretty loose inside here now, but we have to go under the car and get some other things out. Okay, so what we're going to do is go under the car and remove the locking clip from the shift lever on the transaxle and attach the cable, then remove the shift cable bracket bolts. So that's these 2 bolts here, and then this. And this is essentially the shifter. Shift lever is here, and every time you shift your knob in the car, it pulls on this shift cable and it moves this lever. So we need to unhook that so that we can pull that whole shift assembly out. Okay, we are underneath the car. That's the passenger side wheel. I've got a flashlight up here already where we need to be. So you can see up here is the shift lever, or yeah, the shift cable. And the shift lever is this piece here. So this lever connects onto this little area here with the cable right there. That goes over like so, and there's a pin, and I just got a pair of needle nose pliers, pulled out the pin to disconnect that. It's pretty simple. You might want to clean it up, have some glasses on to get that off, because stuff does fall in your eye. And then we're going to unhook this bolt here, and then there's one right above the cable that you could also feel. There's actually a couple of them up there. Let me see if I could get the camera over them. There we go. So you're going to want to do this bolt and this bolt here. Take those out. They're 12 millimeters. I had to use a cheater bar on them. The one on top's a little bit harder to get to, but you know, they're kind of out in the open, so you'll get it. Okay, simple as that. You can see I got those that bracket off. We got our shift cable. It runs up. Let's see if you can see it up there. Runs up, and right there where we're looking now is where the whole assembly is inside the car. So inside the manual for the for this, to adjust this stuff, I think it's more so talking about adjustments of these pieces that we're looking at now. It tells you to remove this plate here, which is only 4 bolts. It's pretty easy to remove. But then it wants you to take all the exhaust all the way up to the manifold and back to the muffler off. And I don't think that's necessary for what we're doing. We're going to pull out the whole piece is actually probably the easiest route, and then adjusting it from there. So I'm not going to do all that, but that's what it says in the manual if you guys want to go by the book. All right.
Okay, back in the interior of the vehicle, we're just going to be pulling, everything's disconnected from our assembly, so we can pull this out now. The things to watch for is this this black, this plastic here, hooks under where we had those screws in, and then from underneath, there's a little piece that kind of goes underneath the metal body of the car as well, so we kind of have to push it forward, pull it up, push it forward, and then pull out in this direction. It's going to be hard for me to do with the phone in my hand. I'll try, but I might have to stop and then show you guys later. So I want to get it loose from underneath the plastic first, and then I'll show you.
Okay, so I popped it out from underneath these plastic pieces, and then you can probably, and then if I push forward, or if I want to pull straight up, it doesn't want to come straight up. Something is hooking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it up and kind of forward, and then try to pull it out. So there we go. So I got this piece wants to hook underneath the metal of the body. So you have to push it forward. And kind of wiggle it around. You can see what it looks like. Get a light on it. And then from there, we're going to pull up the entire cable back to that area where it hooks up. And now we got it out.
Okay, so these pieces are actually called the clamp push nuts. There's one of the part numbers there, and the other part number from Subaru is right here. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to see those, because when you do take them off, it tends to damage them. You'll have to buy new ones. I'm going to try to reuse these ones and see, because I've already bought them. But you can see, I had to get under there with this one on the bottom. I had to take a hammer and a flathead screwdriver and just get it, kind of wedge it in there and then kind of work it out. It's a pain if you have another method of taking these off. Go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Next, what we'll do is pull out the pins that these are attached to. There's a pin here, and the pin that goes on the other side. So we'll just pull those out, and then we'll move on over to these, this wiring harness.
Okay, pins are pulled out with just some pliers. So with the wiring harness, let's see if I find my tool, my bread and butter over here. So this thing needs to be, all these little wires have to be unclipped if you want to pull out that solenoid or that plate that I was talking about before. But for now, let's take these off. The way I do it is I saw this on from another guy on YouTube, and I got a little bobby pin, and I cut the round edge off, and then I use the flatter and then put a little crimp on one end. And what I do is I stick those in there and then kind of unhook. There's little tabs. And you got to unhook those little tabs. If you might be able to see it here. So you're going to pull down on these little tabs here, and then from the back side, pull out the wire. So let's try to do that without damaging anything. I'll get back to you guys when I do. Okay, pulling these things out, you want the tab down really good. I've already got a couple out here. You can kind of see they have a little hooking mechanism, or little hooks on the back where they cling onto that tab. So you want the tab down real well, and then to just pull straight back on the wire. Don't tug it too hard because I did break one the first go around with this, and it might be okay. There we go. So push that down. So that's how you're going to do all of them. So you got all the wires out. They're kind of wrapped around a little clip here. You unwrap them, of course, untwist them, whatever you need to do. Get them separated. Be careful with them because they're pretty small gauged wires, and I have a feeling that they can easily break. Okay, once you got your wires all separated, we're going to remove this little plastic piece here. It's just like a push clip. Just get your flathead screwdriver, get under it. I already loosened it up with that bobby pin, but you can get under it and it pops right out. So now that that's out, there's another pin right there. Actually, no, we need the solenoid first. So the solenoid's going to come out. What we'll do for that is get two flathead screwdrivers, one for the tab that's there. Let me see if I can get a light. There's a tab right there. You can kind of see the two darker lines on the side, and then the tab in the middle. Push down on that, and then on the bottom what I'll do is I will work from the bottom, grabbing onto the metal with another screwdriver, and I'm pulling that solenoid out. Okay, what you can see here is I depressed the clip with my flathead, and then what I did was get a little pick, but another small flathead works as well. And let me see if I can get the light down in there. Also the solenoid, and you're just going to push that solenoid out. When it comes out, it'll bring this whole white part with it. Those two are connected inside. So let me get those out and I'll show you. So now we got our solenoid out. And as you can see, that's the whole piece there. It's got some grease on it to allow it to slide. And what it kind of does is when it's in place, it slides here. And this little plunger part slides out of this hole and locks into here. Let me see. Locks into that hole right there. Part of your shift assembly, and it'll keep your car in park without, it'll keep it in park, and that's why you have to press your brake in to keep the car, or to put the car out of park. So next what I'll do is just pull out this pin. This is kind of what I'm doing. Normally it's like that, so what I did was pull this up. You can see there's a little like ball socket down here. Pulled where the pins were out and to the right if you were looking forward with the car, and then underneath here where all that grease is, you can see that little silver metal piece. That thing is spring loaded, and it is connected to this other part with the ball socket, and this is in order to get the plate guide out. So we're gonna try to, the way we do that is by getting a flathead screwdriver, depressing that silver part so it goes up towards the ball socket, and then kind of sliding it over this ridge here. And I could show you a better example with the one that's already out. We can get a light on it. Okay, so right now the ball's in one of these positions. You got your park, your neutral, or no, your reverse, your neutral, your drive, and then the low gear for my particular model of Subaru. But you want to get it down to that drive position and then up over the sliding spot and then out, and then it'll come out. Okay guys, I got it out. Took all of 4 or 5 minutes. The way I did it was I had to turn this piece a whole lot. Come in from that side there, the front side of the vehicle with a flathead screwdriver, get up underneath there and depress that metal piece that is spring loaded. And then what I did was I took another screwdriver and put it through one of those the holes here and pulled it as I was depressing it. So I pulled it forward as I was coming from that same side with another screwdriver and depressing the spring-loaded portion. So the hole where the pin goes in through. That's the word I was looking for. So anyways, I'm an idiot. When I originally put this in, when I put it back together, I thought this piece was exactly, it looks pretty uniform, like it's all the same, but anyone with a sharp eye can tell you that this side on the interior of it is different than that side where it's just flat. And so what that does is allow my vehicle, when it's in there, to shift one way or the other. It'll go left. When you're in there, it's in the drive position, it'll go left or it'll go right, thanks to how this interacts with our plate guide here. And so what I was unable to do with how I had installed it was I was unable to get in the low gear mode, to crawl through some sand or something like that while I'm off-roading or maybe towing something, I'm not sure. Never really used it, but I want to have that functionality in the vehicle. So I've got to take it apart and put it back together. My wife is not like me. She was able to notice pretty quickly that on the top there are these 2 dashed lines. On the other side there is not. So she was able to ask, well, I had it installed where the dashed lines were in this way. So when we were looking down at it, dash lines were like that. Originally, the dash lines were like on the driver's side instead of the passenger. I'm gonna break something. Okay, they were on the it was on the passenger's, or it was on the driver's side and not the passenger's side, like I had installed it. The only reason I know this as well was, and to be able to verify, was that I took a lot of pictures prior to disassembling this the first time. And I was in a rush when I reassembled it, so I didn't go back and check that my pictures were correct. I just assumed that this was one uniform. A lesson there for the rest of you: make sure when you're taking these things apart and putting them back together, take pictures, and when you're going to put it back together, before you take it apart, and when you're going to put it back together, look through your pictures. And that's going to be important as well for what I'm going to show next is we're going to have to put all this back together and we're going to have to wire it up. And these wires, remember, were all in specific spots in this little wiring harness area. So for that housing. So I had previously taken pictures and I can tell you guys all where those go right now. Okay guys, now we're going to start the reinstall. As you can see, we have this, this shift handle, main part of the shifter that you interact with as a driver, and then this plate guide down here with all those wires. And on the bottom, you have these little divots where your spring-loaded kind of pin interacts with. And the divots are kind of funny, they made me laugh. They're rather phallic looking. So there's this slide piece and you're gonna just slide it right in. Kind of similar way that we got out, but I'm imagining this kind of smooth tapered part is just to get it in. Remember to watch which way it came out and which way you're putting it in. So I've got my two little dots and they're going towards the driver's side. Make sure that that is how they're supposed to be. I'm also going to go back and check my photos to make sure that's how it's supposed to be before I reinstall. Just to double check, because I don't want to do this again. And that is how it is. So we're just going to take the plate guide right here with its phallic looking bottom and slide it in, kind of similar how we got it out. Things got to twist, things got to turn. Be careful not to damage any pieces on it. These little fragile computer chips and wires and things can get snagged and caught on stuff. So be very careful when you're putting this back in.
Okay, sliding it back in was pretty easy. I just put this piece in first, inside this white kind of harness area. Put that in first, then take your plate guide and slide it in where it's supposed to go, and then try to connect where the pins go in. So I did the back one first, then this one, and I could feel that that spring-loaded pin interacting with the bottom of the plate guide. And now, if I shift it, it feels like when you shift the actual car. So I know it's in place. And make sure, okay, I'm going to pull back, and let's see if I can go left or right. I can't really go left or right at the very back, so I'm going to have to double-check that. That looks like it's all the way forward, and the parking spot is, these holes are lining up, so I know that's park. Reverse, neutral, drive, and it should be willing to go one way or the other, but it doesn't want to go any which way now. So I'm hoping that's not an issue. Let me put the pins in and see if that helps. It doesn't want to go right or left. So maybe it should be willing to go. Maybe. Not sure.
Would work, but now you can see, so we can get this thing. It goes left as it should, and then I can go forward all the way to lock this thing back together. We got it back in place. We're going to put the pins in and just do everything in reverse.
Okay, so we're placing the solenoid pretty much exactly as you took it out. That white piece goes above this black here. See if we can see the black, all the pieces there. So it's going to just kind of slide in. There's bottom pieces that are connected. That white flashlight. And remember, there's that clamp there, or that little clip, that is going to catch it once it's in all the way. And so, oh, that clip actually inhibits it from going in very easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pull it from the back. So now it's got plenty of room to get in there and be up behind the clip. And it's in, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the solenoid wires in first. I think this black one is a little bit long, so it can kind of twist up and stuff. But I've got this. I wrote out a diagram the first time around when I did this, and it goes a little something like this.
Okay, so when we've got the harness as it is facing up that way, this will be kind of what the bottom of the car is, bottom here. So I kind of follow this diagram. Let me get it on camera for you guys, see if I can get the whole thing so you can pause the video and see. So we've got the solenoid here. Black is this. It's one off to the right. It goes all the way over here. So the bottom front part of the car. The blue one comes up and around, and it is catty corner, the exact opposite. Top of the car, but back towards the back.
So we're looking at this again. We're going black as the front and the bottom of the car. And I actually won't do the blue one yet because I want to work my way from the front to the back. So remember when I said it's important to kind of take pictures and look at everything. So right here what we have is these wires. You kind of lose track of them and where the heck they are and where they go and which one's which and all this. And you can see from initially the original. So it's in there like this, and you've got two green wires and two blue wires. One of the blue wires is, I guess, facing the driver. One of the other ones facing the passenger. One green wire is facing the front, the other the back. So I'm going to kind of show you my cheat sheet that I made to figure this all out.
The green wires, for the green that face the, I marked it as R for right left, but the one that faces the front comes over here and into this kind of middle top, and then the one that is facing the back, near the back of the vehicle, comes over here and is actually on the top of the harness in the front. So that's the first one that's the next one we're gonna clip in. And what I did was I marked my wires. So I have ways you could figure that out for yourself, mark it however you like. I kind of did made it more complicated than it needed to be, but this is going to go in here, and these are just going to kind of come in. And let me get these in position so I could show you. Similar thing for the blue I marked one of them. I know where that goes. And so let me get them all in. Okay, got them all clipped in, and just make sure you push them in good and down. As you can see, I've got my marked ones, this marked one here, and this marked one back there in that section. And I kind of marked them on my paper like that. I also wrote down a little note. And so
over here, what I was calling right, and R and L, that's actually driver's side or front of the vehicle. L was back of the vehicle, R was front of the vehicle. And then where I wrote front and back, that's going to be, front will be driver's side, and then back should be passenger side. So you can kind of see that. Let me see if you can kind of see in there, there's two wires. So the one that I called front is that one that's closest to us with the little silver paint on it. And they come from the factory with these little silver dots. And yeah, but I marked them myself because once you get this close, you can, there's not distinguishable by the silver dots. So there's that. And then we move on to the next spot.
And the next spot is putting in these pins back in and putting those clamp push nuts on. And the way I got those on was just to get a wrench and kind of wrap that part around the clamp push nut and hammer it down. And then I put back on this little plastic pin, this little plastic piece that prevents this other pin from coming out, even though the solenoid already prevents it from coming out. It's good that it doesn't get any loose and make contact with that solenoid. You don't want that thing getting stuck, because it seems like if it was stuck, pushed out like that, your vehicle can just move from park to anywhere else, any other gear, and that's kind of dangerous. So you want this thing to be able to slide as it's intended. Mine's kind of, if I pulled it back, it's able to go back into place. So that's what we want. Let me think. And then I think and then we got to put this rubber grommet back in, and all the things slipped out. So put those back in, and then we're ready to reinstall it in the car. Okay, yeah, with this rubber grommet, it's easiest to take this little metal piece out of the grommet first, slide the rest of it in, and then put the metal piece back in, because I was not doing that before, and it was much more difficult to get the all the rubber through the hole with the metal piece. Taking it off, kind of simple, I guess. You can either punch it out with something. I would try to lift the rubber up and then punch it out, but that's just a little tip there. And everything goes back in the way it came out, so you can kind of see there are some there's things down there that this cable is going to want to go above. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys very well with just one hand installing this, because I'm using my phone. But yeah, so this is going to go in, and I'll try to get in a position where it's easier to see. Okay, yeah, you kind of have to fish for the spot that you want it to go into, because that cable was going through a lot of stuff underneath the car. I'm going to go underneath the car and kind of check it out, but before I get this piece under these plastics, because then it's it's a little difficult to get it out from underneath there. So just make sure everything with that cable is in the right position. Make sure you don't damage these electrical clips. Let's go under and check it out. Okay, so I already see the cable sticking out where I don't want it. Up above, let me see if you guys could see that. We could see it. There's our where we can make adjustments, and cable went down, so we don't want that. We want it up. So I'm gonna have to go back up and pull it. Okay, I got my 12mm wrench, my cheater wrench, an extension in case I need it, 12mm socket, my bolts for the clamp, and my pin, which means I also need my needle nose pliers. And since I turned the car off in neutral, I'm going to put it back into neutral. The way I'm going to check that is by putting it into the park position where I know it is, and then moving it into reverse, and then neutral. And then drive should be the only one below, and then I should be able to go to left from there. So drive, that's reverse, that's neutral. So I know it's in neutral because I don't know, but that might affect that cable down there in its positioning. So I want it in neutral because I think that lever is in neutral right now. So when we reconnect it, we want this lever here, if you could see it, that lever where the cable is going to connect to is in the neutral position. So I'm going to get this connected on here. If I can get my hand in there to show you guys. And for some reason, the cable's got a lot of slack on it. Okay. Okay. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I got that in. And I'm going to get my pin in, and then I'm going to bolt on that bracket in those spots. So let me get those in for you and I'll show you. So the pin's easy enough. I have the straight part of the pin pointing back towards me. With the bracket here, you can see there's a long end and a shorter end. The longer end goes closer to this connection point. So it's going to go in like this with this hole here with a long and then a long end, and then it's going to go over the cable and connect to the other hole on the top. So I'm going to work on that, show you when it's done. Okay, I've got the clamp back on. If it's being a little bit difficult because that top one is you're gonna have to reach around the exhaust piping to get to it up here. What I did was I held on to the cable, and this cable wants to kind of move out this, towards the passenger side. Held the cable down. It's much easier to get that bolt in because the bolts are a little particular for this clamp. Again, the pin goes in kind of the same way it came out. Put it in by hand. It's pretty simple. And so it should look like this once it's in, and like that with that bracket over our line. Okay.
Once we're back in the car, we just put our flip back in like so. Pretty simple, and that should connect. Uh-oh, and I see some of these they popped out because I clipped it in. So make sure those are in good and steady, guys. Let me see if I can pull on any just to make sure they're not kind of loose or nothing. We want those in for sure. Okay, and then these bolts here, 12mm bolts, 4 corners, and those screws. So let me get those in, then we'll put all the plastic stuff back up.
Okay, I got my 4 bolts in, my screws in, so this thing is secure. Next, I think what we do is we put in this plastic. Also, there are the wires clip into this metal piece here. My light. Let me get.
The wires clip in right there, as you can see. And what I will be doing is putting those in to these this like mounting plastic piece. So those I think there's just little holes that they clip into. Once they come out, I think I damaged them or something. They don't really want to stay back in, but for the most part, they will hold your wires in place. They shouldn't be moving around too much in there anyways. There's other clips along the line. And then so this plastic piece right here, you can see it goes in a specific way because it needs to make room. Oh right, this hole right here goes above this white piece that was connected to the solenoid. That's going to go above that because I'll show you the reason for that later. But there's again those clamps there, and those little these little pieces right here that go into those holes. The holes are over here, clamps, and you should just be able to push down, and it snaps right on. Cool. And then here we go. We've got this here. I think I didn't show you guys earlier, but we have these little plates that go like this and like this, and that just keeps your keeps it all looking pretty. Oh, that doesn't look pretty. That's the wrong side. Okay, that way, and like that. Oh, this looks pretty. Huh, that's pretty messed up looking. Anyways, those go over like that, and then we get our main boy, our face here to get in. Before I clip any of the side pieces on, I'm going to connect the wires. So, should just clip in. It should be pretty easy to tell when you're looking at it which side goes in which way. You know, be able to easily clip it in. There's this here, this clip here, same on the other side, and I'm just going to put it over and press down. Hold on one second.
Okay, yeah, so I I put that bottom black plastic piece, I connected it to the rails on the back side of this larger black plastic piece, and then I'm clipping in this black plastic piece into this white kind of skeleton, if you will. When I pulled it apart, that it was not like that. This was kind of just out. So let's see if that makes it any better. So then again, just put this back on the way it went. And get all the clips in, and you can see, boom, it pops over, pops in a neutral. You should need to hit the brake in for the reverse and park position. So all you should have to be able to do is go drive and the low power. So neutral, that's where I want it. And remember how I told you that that white skeleton piece wanted to hook up with that hole? That's because this right here, this little piece comes out. If you ever find that your car won't go into park or won't leave park, you can pop this piece out, stick a screwdriver in it. It'll depress that white kind of plunger piece that was connected to the solenoid, and that'll allow you to take your car out of park. And that's the only reason I knew that skeleton piece went the way it did. So little trick. Okay, so now that that's back on, we can start getting our, right here, this piece. We're going to want to take off this clip that we've saved there from earlier. So take that clip off. It's hard to do with one hand.
Okay, put your silver piece on first, and then your shift knob, and you put your clip back in. So we put the clip back in, you can see it. Clips back on, and then, the clip came off, popped off. Make sure I get it on right.
Okay, so the knob has to be all the way down because this, the shift, I don't know, the shifter has a little indentation for that clip to go into. And then this can just be, that silver piece can just be popped back on like so. And then we'll put all our plastics on and we should be ready to roll. So I'm going to put these on in reverse order from when, how I took them off. So this one came off kind of last. And it was nice to pop it off because there was all this gunk down here that I got to clean up finally. That stuff was driving me crazy. Pops in pretty simply, I think. Yeah, looks like this might be going there, right like that. And this will go in here like that. And with all the clips in there, guys, especially with the electrical stuff and with these exterior parts, I highly suggest getting yourself this bag of goodies to help unclip things. It's cheap. It'll keep your car looking nice. So next I'm going to test drive it, make sure the problem is fixed. Okay guys, we're in the vehicle, and just to show you that it worked, originally my problem was that the key wasn't coming out when I was in park and trying to turn the car off. Turn the car off and then it would just kind of get stuck and would not pull out. So it was acting like it was in neutral. You could see the lights here on, meaning the wires for that are connected. You know, they're not always on. You have to turn and it's off. But moment of truth here, and the key comes right out. So I can feel it. I've been testing it, and it slides in and out so much smoother than it was before. I think we resolved the issue that we were having. So I would not, if you have the money to have a shop do it. They told me it was only going to be like $300, $360, $380 maybe. And the part that I replaced was $80. So I saved about $300 doing it myself. If you have the money, I would say just spring for that if you're not familiar with working on cars. If you're confident and have the time or lack of money, go ahead. I hope this video helps you out. Leave a comment below if you have any other tips or tricks that you'd like to add for people. Thank you. Bye.